The eruption at the summit of Kilauea continues. Lava fountains on Friday were not as high as they were in the first days of this fourth episode of activity. However, officials issued an alert concerning Pele's hair and the volcanic smog known as VOG, which has been reported within Hawaii Volcanoes National Park and in nearby communities. Pele's hair is known to island residents as the strands of volcanic glass produced during eruptions that can sometimes be carried by the wind into the surrounding communities. This radio message was issued by the Hawaii County Civil Defense.
This is a civil defense message for Friday, January 17th at 10:30 in the morning. The USGS Hawaii Volcano Observatory reports foggy conditions and Pele's hair observed in residential communities near Halemaumau caldera. If your area is experiencing these conditions, please be advised. Contact with Pele's hair can cause skin and eye irritation. Avoid exposure by wearing long sleeves and pants and by staying indoors. If you are sensitive to VOG, stay indoors or consider leaving the area until conditions improve. Thank you for listening. This is your Hawaii County Civil Defense Agency.
On Friday, geologists with the USGS Hawaiian Volcano Observatory flew up to the summit caldera and landed on the crater floor. The roar of the active vents can be heard in the distance as sluggish lava flows slowly creep over the ground. The scientists gathered lava samples in order to learn more about the makeup of the lava and the nature of the current eruption. The USGS volcano alert level for Kilauea remains at watch, with all eruptive activity confined to the summit caldera within Hawaii Volcanoes National Park.
Welcome back. This is Beyond Wild is One. We are glad you're watching. Time now for Pulse, the headlines. Mediator Egypt says Israel will release over 1,890 Palestinian prisoners in exchange for 33 Israeli hostages in the first phase of a Gaza truce. Adds that the prisoners will be freed during the first 42-day phase of the ceasefire that begins at 6:30 GMT on Sunday. Several people injured in a stabbing incident in the commercial hub of Tel Aviv. Israel police say a 30-year-old assailant has been shot dead. Hours after the Israeli military says it intercepted a missile launched from Yemen, Houthi rebels claim they launched a ballistic missile on Israel targeting its Ministry of Defense. Two judges killed in Iran and another injured in a shooting incident near the Supreme Court in Tehran. Government says armed infiltrator who killed himself was on a planned mission to assassinate the judges, with a long history of fighting crimes against national security, spies and terrorism. At least 9 people seriously wounded and 8 others moderately injured after chairlift collapses in a ski lift at a resort in Spain. North flight arrivals and departures in Delhi between 10:20 a.m. and 12:45 p.m. for the next 8 days till January 26th in view of the Republic Day week. Delhi International Airport Limited has urged passengers to check with their airlines for updated flight information.
Many small business owners, including TSP Baking, use TikTok to showcase their business and their products. But now that TikTok could go dark, many of them are raising concerns about their business future.
Good morning!
The clock is ticking for TikTok.
We got so busy yesterday.
This Sunday, the app could go from this light and lovely community to possibly a dark abyss.
It is very detrimental to be silenced on any platform, especially my favorite, which is TikTok. I have the most followers there. I get a lot of business from TikTok.
Carrie Garcia is the owner of TSP Baking Company in North Las Vegas. She started using the platform during COVID
On Wednesday, we eat brownies.
to communicate with her daughter, who was quarantining at her dad's house. But she also used it to showcase her delicious cookies.
It was our busiest year, actually.
She tells me the social media app helped her expand her reach and get new customers.
People in New York, Australia, Canada could see me and then become actual friends and come and visit and buy cookies.
Garcia also used the platform and her nearly 200,000 followers to promote and boost other businesses in the valley.
The algorithm is not the same as any other place. The possibility of going viral, and I mean like millions of views, is so there for every single creator. As a business, it's free and you never know who you're reaching. It could be your next customer.
But with the looming ban on the horizon, concern is growing for Garcia and other businesses who have come to rely on it.
People I know have quit their jobs from TikTok alone. Sure, they get money from other places, but TikTok has been a steady stream of income.
While Garcia remains hopeful, she tells me she is pivoting to other platforms to continue promoting her business.
YouTube would probably be the next place, but I really believe in TikTok. I think TikTok has a greater reach, and I think TikTok's potential is astronomical.
We got so busy yesterday that I couldn't get a haircut.
Reporting from Las Vegas, Giovanni Carrillo.
The 911 call came in as a cardiac arrest. We've learned the caller was the mother of the 18-year-old victim. We've also discovered that 2 young children were in the apartment when the murders happened.
It's going to be a young male.
A worried mother who couldn't get a hold of her son made a devastating discovery at his friend's apartment.
Caller came to location because she hasn't heard from her son, and the apartment door was unlocked.
She found her child, 18-year-old Daryl Carter, and his friend, 23-year-old Angel Price, dead on the floor of Price's apartment. We have been able to piece together some of the details through public police transmissions.
Caller can see a shell casing on the floor.
Baltimore County Police have not confirmed the manner of death. However, the state medical examiner's office ruled the causes of death homicide. Price lived in a second-floor rear apartment. A child's bike can be seen on the deck. Sadly, a toddler and infant, according to police transmissions, may have seen the murders.
Came in to find the 2-year-old and 5-month-old babies crying. The baby is in the swing. Both adults are on the floor.
Neighbors confirm Price was the mother of 2 children. Police have not released details of a possible motive or whether they have a suspect. But the apartment complex has a surveillance camera on a corner just a few yards away from the crime scene. The mother of the 18-year-old victim suffered another setback Monday. We were here when she tried to collect her son's belongings but was turned away because the apartment is still an active crime scene. Police ask anyone with information to give them a call at 410-887-4636. Reporting from Lockhart, David Collins, WBAL TV 11 News.
¿Estás bien? Tranquila, tranquila, que te cogemos, tranquila. ¿Estás ¿Estás bien? Tranquila, tranquila, que te cogemos. Tranquila. ¿Estás bien? Tranquila, tranquila, que te cogemos. Tranquila. ¿Estás bien? Tranquila, tranquila, que te cogemos.
At least 30 people have been injured after a chairlift collapsed at the Aston ski resort in Huesca, northeast of Spain. According to local officials, the accident occurred on Saturday after a loose piece that ensures the return of the chairlift caused part of the structure to fall. Emergency officials say 4 rescue helicopters and 10 ambulances were deployed.
Pues es como que se ha salido un cable y de repente ha empezado a botar toda la silla. La silla han botado y ha salido la gente saliendo, la gente volando, piruetas.
Around 9 people out of the injured persons were in serious condition. One woman, considered the most critical patient, was transferred by helicopter to the hospital in Zaragoza, the region's capital, according to local reports. Authorities in the northeastern Spanish region say the ski resort has been completely evacuated and closed.
Late into the night of January 16th, at a detention centre in Taipei, a rare execution by firing squad. The inmate sentenced to die on death row since 2017 for a double murder and rape committed years earlier. It's the first time Taiwan has carried out an execution in almost 5 years, and is a decision that's attracted widespread international condemnation. In a harshly worded statement, Amnesty International called the execution shocking and cruel, and a huge setback for human rights in Taiwan, saying it violates the constitution and ignores an appeal to stop an execution that was still pending. Even the European Union chimed in, urging Taiwan to immediately apply a de facto moratorium on capital punishment. But lawmakers from across the political spectrum are defending Taiwan's right to exercise the death penalty. The Justice Ministry saying the sentencing followed proper procedure, a claim backed by President Lai Ching-te himself.
根据司法院宪法法庭的判决，死刑是合宪的，并没有违宪。因此，我非常希望社会大众能够支持法务部依法行政。同时，我也要向受害的家属表达慰问之意。
Despite its support among politicians in Taiwan, some opposition lawmakers have taken the execution as an opportunity to get political, with a KMT legislator accusing the ruling party of using capital punishment, which enjoys widespread support among the Taiwanese public too, as a political distraction.
之前他觉得民调上面没有问题的时候，他就不执行死刑，也不让法官判死刑。结果呢，今天民调出问题了。 就抓1-2个人出来，把他打掉。
Capital punishment has long been a contentious issue here in Taiwan. It was only last September that the country's 36 or so death row inmates brought the subject to the Constitutional Court, who ruled it only partially constitutional, saying that it should only be used in the most serious of cases. And Taiwan has used the death penalty very sparingly in recent years, with only 2 executions during Tsai Ing-wen's 8-year presidency. But with so much public support, and this most recent execution, all coming just days after another inmate's death sentence was upheld, it seems capital punishment is still very much an option for Taiwan's Justice Ministry, and all despite repeated calls from rights groups to abolish the practice altogether. Klein Wang, Joseph Wu, and Rhys Ayres for Taiwan Plus.
Da müssen Sie auch zuhören, weil Schreien ist eine Frage, aber keine Antwort. Sie haben gefragt, also kriegen Sie eine Antwort. Und die Antwort lautet, das war ein furchtbarer terroristischer Überfall der Hamas auf israelische Bürgerinnen und Bürger vor über einem Jahr. Es ist richtig, dass der Staat Israel sich gegen diesen Angriff verteidigen kann. Deutschland ist immer klar gewesen. Wir haben sehr klar gesagt, es muss eine gute Perspektive geben, eine gute Perspektive für eine Zwei-Staaten-Lösung. Wir müssen dafür sorgen, dass Mittel eingesetzt werden, ohne dass es zu Verletzungen von völkerrechtlichen Vorschriften kommt. Über 200
Demonstrators are gathering ahead of Inauguration Day, with many showing support for causes they believe will come under attack by the Trump administration, like immigration and reproductive rights. This is video from today's march on the Lincoln Memorial in Washington, D.C. But right here in Boston, WBZ's Paul Burton was there as thousands gathered on the Boston Common for much the same reason.
From music to dancing to loud chants.
And together, we are unstoppable.
Folks gathered on the Boston Common for the Women's People's March. Holding up signs, dozens of organizations and city leaders came together to celebrate what they describe as the cultural achievements of New England and to voice their concerns about the inauguration of President Trump in his upcoming administration.
We're here to celebrate New England values, and this includes feminism, reproductive health care, minority rights, LGBT rights, environmental justice.
Back in 2017, the Women's March on Boston Common drew in more than 175,000 people the day after Donald Trump's first inauguration in support of women's rights.
We're sending another message. We are not going anywhere.
This year, the numbers are much lower, but Mary Rose Mazzulla of Planned Parenthood says the numbers don't dictate the impact, which is why they added the People's March to the title.
I think knowing that not just women are under threat, right? That there, as I mentioned on stage, there are threats to our queer and trans folks and neighbors as well. And beyond that, we know that Trump is targeting immigrants. He's looking into, denying climate change and science. And so for us, it's more inclusive. It's more about anyone who wants to fight for their rights.
Organizers say as many as 2,000 people took part in this rally here on the Common. Many fear with Trump taking office on Monday that a lot of the steps that they've made over the last 4 years will be reversed.
It's heartbreaking.
Tom and Louise Kane drove up from the Cape to be here.
The biggest concern on my mind is really actually for the environment. The first thing that the administration is talking about is drill, baby, drill. They're not looking at, policy.
I think people are getting worn down by the constant chaos and insanity, where the fervor is being just wrung out of us. But you got to hang in there.
In Boston, I'm Paul Burton, WBZ News.
Now you can watch the inauguration of the nation's 47th president on Monday with all-day coverage right here on WBZ and also streaming on CBS News Boston.
U.S. President-elect Donald Trump on Saturday said he would most likely give TikTok a 90-day reprieve from a potential federal ban after he takes office on Monday. Trump told NBC, quote, "If I decide to do that, I'll probably announce it on Monday." TikTok's over 170 million American users are in limbo. The Chinese-owned app said late on Friday it will go dark in the U.S. on Sunday unless the Biden administration provides assurances to companies such as Apple and Google that they will not face enforcement actions when a ban takes effect. The White House dismissed TikTok's comment as a stunt, and President Joe Biden said it was up to Trump to take action. Under a law passed last year and upheld on Friday by a unanimous Supreme Court, TikTok has until Sunday to cut ties with its China-based parent, ByteDance. If it does not, it will be forced to shut down its U.S. operation over concerns that it poses a threat to national security.
I just told some kids that I'm older than Google.
Self-described influencer Dustin Tyler makes money off TikTok. He told Reuters an end to TikTok would feel like getting fired.
I've been really stressed out lately, as it is my income and it's how I feed my family. It's how I put a roof over our heads. The people in my lives are like, Dustin, just breathe, relax. And there's a lot of us feeling that right now.
Calling all TikTok influencers.
Hayden Rankin owns a custom apparel business which exploded in popularity after its first viral post. But he told Reuters he's been rethinking his marketing strategy for a while.
Obviously, having our business start on TikTok and having to build about 600,000 following there, it's tough to lose that. But also, it's foolish for any small business to build one sales channel.
On Friday, TikTok CEO Shou Chew thanked Trump for helping the platform's continuity.
On behalf of everyone at TikTok and all our users across the country, I want to thank President Trump for his commitment to work with us to find a solution that keeps TikTok available in the United States.
A source told Reuters Chu plans to attend Trump's inauguration on Monday.
And staying in the United States, incoming President Donald Trump's incoming border czar, Tom Homan, is being mocked and trolled on social media platforms, including Facebook and X. This comes after Homan sat down for an interview with NBC News on Tuesday, where he spoke about his plans to carry out Donald Trump's mass deportations. Speaking to NBC News, Homan said that he would like to begin mass deportations starting Monday of next week, which will be his first day in office. Homan added that he has many fresh ideas up his sleeve, including setting up a hotline where Americans can report the whereabouts of illegal migrants. However, Democrats, social media users, and media houses were quick to fact-check Homan on the issue of a hotline. In fact, ICE itself put out a statement clarifying that such a hotline has been operational now for 20 years and receives an average of 15,000 calls per month. Several Americans are now questioning whether Homan actually wants to introduce a separate hotline or if he's completely unaware of the current systems in place. Many are even asking if Homan intends to have an oversight over these hotlines where people could falsely report about a person's migration status. Now, Donald Trump's transition team is yet to clarify Homan's comments and has refused to mention whether a new and separate hotline would in fact be created. Meanwhile, several economists, lawyers, and professors who specialize in migration issues are urging the president-elect to rethink his mass deportations.
The staffing and the size of ICE and CBP are not enough to single-handedly deport 10 to 12 million individuals from their homes and communities overnight. However, states and local governments, again, some but not all, have expressed a desire and enthusiasm even to cooperate. And so I think we could be looking at local law enforcement and state police forces participating in arrest and apprehension efforts. I also expect that there will be many legal challenges. I expect that the new administration will seek to push the boundaries beyond what may even be legal or be constitutional, and that the courts will have, as well as lawyers, will have an important role to play in the future ahead of us.
Now, as a result of Donald Trump's new deportation policies, many illegal migrants in the United States are now finding ways to leave the country on their own, in a trend that is being termed self-deportation.
The reason why I don't consider staying in this country is because there is too much uncertainty with the new government of Donald Trump. Many immigrants or Latino Americans are going to be deported, right? Just like Trump has done in the past. It's also something that he has promoted quite a lot in his campaigns, and that's one of the reasons why I would not choose to stay.
Now, following Tom Homan's ill-informed plans of setting up a hotline, MAGA has come out in support of the border czar and is calling for deportations to begin on day one. With Donald Trump's mass deportations expected to cost upwards of $100 billion, it looks like Tom Homan would need a lot more at his disposal than just a hotline if he in fact intends to implement Donald Trump's plan.
Possible human smuggling operation uncovered by a traffic stop in Coral Gables. Officers finding a van full of migrants brought in by boat earlier today. The migrants are now in custody along with the alleged smugglers. Local 10's Cody Weddle is live now from Dania Beach with the latest. Cody.
So, Nicole, authorities believe these migrants were brought by boat and then loaded into vehicles. And there was a woman observing this all, and she called police. A possible smuggling operation busted by Coral Gables police. This video shows the moment an officer pulls up on them. 21 migrants, mostly of Chinese origin, crammed into this U-Haul van. Also among them, 2 Ecuadorians, 2 Cubans, and a Brazilian.
They were good. It looked, they were described to me as obviously tired, but they were in good condition.
According to sources, it started here, the Snapper Creek Canal. The migrants dropped off by boat and then loaded into vehicles. A woman called police believing she was observing a kidnapping.
A very alert security professional from one of our homeowners associations observed an abduction in progress.
Gables police put out a be on the lookout alert and located that U-Haul and the tan Toyota near the 6700 block of Lejeune Road.
A U-Haul van was facing US 1. They had a female being arrested on one side of the van. They had a male at the front of the van.
That woman seen in handcuffs. Police say 4 people could face charges for leading the operation. The migrants, meanwhile, loaded into a city trolley for processing and medical evaluation.
The vigilance of our citizenry that absolutely goes above and beyond by letting us know.
All of those migrants brought here to the U.S. Customs and Border Patrol Station in Dania Beach. Meanwhile, the investigation is ongoing to determine whether this could possibly constitute human trafficking. We're live in Dania Beach. I'm Cody Weddle, Local 10 News.
Yes, just on the other side of this fence is a migrant shelter in San Luis, Mexico that has served as a vital lifeline for thousands of migrants seeking a better future here in the United States. But now all those migrants are facing uncertainty as Donald Trump aims to change immigration policies and increase those deportations. Along the border, La Casa del Migrante shelter in San Luis, Mexico stands as a sanctuary where migrants from across the globe come to find refuge. Victoria Garcia from Morelos, Mexico is holding on to hope. She came seeking asylum with her husband and their 2 kids. They surrendered to Border Patrol in a desert area near Mexicali. That was on June 7th, just 3 days after President Biden issued an executive order on June 4, making it illegal to enter the U.S. outside of a port of entry. She says they were deported back to Mexico right away. 7 months, she says that's how long they've waited at the shelter for their chance at an appointment with Customs and Border Protection. Shelter Director Martín Salgado says nearly 90% of the people they receive are families deported by U.S. authorities. He says they can't accommodate a large influx of people. If the Trump administration begins mass deportations, the shelter only has space for about 70 migrants. He says even that is stretching it. Salgado says state officials in Sonora are concerned about Trump's threats. They're already making moves to open a temporary shelter with up to 2,000 beds. Yet it's unclear when they'll see the financial resources needed to support the effort. And while Martin is worried, he believes Trump is bluffing, using the threat of mass deportations as a scare tactic. He says immigrants are a significant part of the U.S. economy and workforce. Meanwhile, ACLU advocates aren't taking Trump's threats lightly.
We will be in litigation, as we have been since the first Trump administration.
They say they're prepared to put up a legal fight,
challenging whatever policies are enacted that violate the Constitution and threaten the rights and the dignity of immigrants in our country.
An estimated 11 million undocumented immigrants live in the U.S., and for migrants waiting in Mexico like Victoria. She fears if Trump gets rid of the CBP One app, she'll be back to square one. Even so, she says she's not losing faith. Now, the shelter says on average, migrants who are waiting for that CBP appointment stay there at the shelter for about 8 to 9 months. So donations are always welcomed and also needed. You can visit our website, azfamily.com, on how to donate. For now, live from San Luis, Alexandra Rangel.